Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, the AEW Apologist, here to apologize if there's any apologies necessary on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel for AEW, which is creatively the number one wrestling company in the world right now. Creatively. Now, you might be saying, well, gee whiz, Mike, what does that mean? I mean, minute for minute, hour for hour, program for program, pay per view for pay per view, and match by match. I think it's a superior show as far as the current wrestling choices than anything else going. Care to argue? Go right ahead in the comments. So right now, first of all, before I get into the AEW stuff, you're seeing that I'm wearing a Bully Ray shirt. Bully Ray and Mark Henry joining the likes of Tommy Dreamer as these Dave LaGreca co-hosts on Busted Open Radio. I guess, Bully Ray and Mark Henry didn't want Tommy Dreamer to have all the fun with being outed or seen as a bully or a Neanderthal or whatever. So in the wake of Tommy Dreamer on his Dark Side of the Ring plane ride from hell comments getting ostracized, there's a gentleman making noise in the background, of course, so now I have to, I try to do things. Boy, that guy's a loud talker. The guy's like 50 feet away from me. I just hate people. The guy is literally like 50 feet away from me, and he's screaming into his fucking phone that he's holding up to his ear. And it's like, asshole, is there a need for that? I mean, why are you screaming into your goddamn phone? I can understand talking into it politely, but is there a need to be screaming into your phone like a fuck? So I'm wearing the Bully Ray t-shirt, as you can see. Because I want to wear the t-shirt. I'm not going to burn the shirt or throw it in the garbage can because Bully Ray Dudley, his fucking ring handle is Bully Ray, assholes, and people are getting offended because Bully Ray and Mark Henry are waxing nostalgic about the days of wrestling when they were slapping Rene Dupree or doing whatever they were doing. Here's the thing, folks. Ready? The wrestlers do not live by normal suburban standards. They are not suburban people who do suburban things, who have ethics and values that go along with the 9-to-5 lifestyle that most of us have. Okay? These people live in a fucking bubble. It's the pro wrestling bubble where they slap people in the face, they take razor blades and they cut open their forehead, they have sex with rats, which are women that follow the wrestlers around. These are not supposed to be normal human beings that live by normal standards. The best that you can expect from these wrestlers is for them to police themselves. A great case in point, JBL, Justin Bradshaw Layfield, who had a reputation for being a bully in wrestling, in the WWE especially. This guy's really loud. I might go over there and give him a slap on the face. But JBL, who was a bully and picked on people and humiliated people, the Hardys and whoever else, guess what happened? He was pushing someone a little bit too far. And that person who had experience in ECW reared back and punched JBL in the jaw and knocked his ass out. Now, who could that be, you're saying? Was it Rob Van Dam? Was it, pick a hand, Rob Van Dam? Was it perhaps Taz? Was it Bully Ray or Devon? Or was it Sabu? Who could have possibly knocked out the mighty JBL, a former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, the SmackDown title, not the Bruno belt? Who could have knocked out JBL? Joey Styles. Joey fucking oh my god Styles knocked out JBL, which is one of the goddamn greatest things ever. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was on Twitter, and JBL on his Twitter account was posting for some boxing match, like JBL was at the boxing match or something, and tweeted about it. And I said, hey, don't you think that, I tweeted back, this is a response to JBL, oh my God, what a great fight. Even Joey Styles would think so. And I was promptly blocked by JBL because he can't take a fucking joke. Because all these goddamn wrestlers who think they're so fucking tough, when one of them, like JBL, gets knocked out by a lowly ring announcer, suddenly his balls shrink up and go back inside of his body. Okay? So, as far as this Bully Ray and Mark Henry thing goes, first off, I don't give a fuck. I have better things to do with my life. But as far as you, if you're concerned about it and you're so shocked and amazed that these wrestlers are bullies and they're not normal people in normal society, it's a sport, as I say, where grown men take razor blades, slice open their foreheads for your enjoyment. New Jack slices up 16-year-old Eric Koulos for your enjoyment. That's the sport you're watching. So if you have a problem with these wrestlers, maybe you should have a problem with yourself for watching it. Think about that, asshole. If you're watching wrestling and you're crying in your goddamn pants about what assholes the wrestlers are and how they're bullies, take a self-reflective moment and say that you're putting your fucking money into buying their action figures. These guys that cheat on their wives, Bret Hart cheated on his wife. Yet you buy his t-shirt, you buy his action figure. You say he's the best there is, the best there was, and all that other shit. Yet he cheated on his goddamn wife. Though that's your fucking heroes, fans. I'm not saying I'm any better than you, but if you're supporting these goddamn wrestlers and you have a problem with their lack of ethics or the fact that they live their lives like Neanderthals, then you're supporting them financially. So take an evaluation of yourself, okay? You fuck. Next thing. God damn it. AEW had a nice 8-man tag. I'm not a big fan of Bryan Danielson's fine, but as far as like this 4-on-4 feud of Bryan Danielson and the fucking Luchasaurus and the fucking Christian Cage and Jungle Fuck and all these guys against the Elite, it's not my song and dance. Like, that's not who I would put on the top of the card, to be honest. But they had a great fucking 8-man tag match with a lot of flips and dynamics and breaking up of pins and all that wonderful shit. So you had to say that was good. I watched Rampage last night. CM Punk making this, whatever his fucking name is, Damian Gray or Dorian Gray, or is it the portrait of Darian Gray or the picture of Darian Gray? Mandela effect, that one. But CM Punk giving this guy some airtime, the fucking Daniel Craig, whatever the fuck his name was, pretty good match. CM Punk wearing the long boys, as Jarrett called them, the pants. The TBS title, this is what I wanted to get into. I'm 7 minutes in. I'm finally getting into the topic of choice. Do we need this TBS women's title? Some people have pointed out that if you look at this title belt, it looks like it says, if you look at it in a certain way with the lighting and the lettering, it looks like the lettering reads hose. If you look at it at a certain reflection or whatever. Like a lot of people, my buddy Dan Sebastiano over there, at his podcast, Dan and Benny in the Ring, he made a wonderful point that he thought it should have been a tag team women's title. First of all, Dan, I think Dan criticized, or other people criticized, why do these titles have to have the name of the network? It's an advertising thing. It's a nice for the network. The network is putting this program on the show in the first place. And so that's what you do. You rub the fucking cock of your business partners. That's how you get along in business, folks. You make your partners in business happy by doing stupid shit like that. You know what I mean? So I don't understand why you don't understand it. Oh, why do they have to call the TNT title? Because they're trying to make nice with their fucking business partners, assholes. Maybe if WCW had done this, or Crockett Promotions had done this 30 years ago, they never would have been out of business, for Christ's sake. I mean, some things are just common fucking sense. Why do they have to call the title the TBS title? Why do they have to call it the TNT title? Because they're trying to stay on the good side of the fucking network executives and stay the fuck on the air. I mean, it's common goddamn sense sometimes, and the wrestling fan sits there and pontificates stupid shit, flipping over to WWE for just a goddamn moment. What's a fuck? Corey Graves, Tattoo Neck, makes some comment ridiculing Dana Brooke, who does suck, by the way, and apparently he's ridiculing her and saying she's horrible and god-awful in the middle of the match. And people go on Twitter and they get their dicks in an uproar and they get all their fucking panties soft and soaked with fluids because they're upset that he's... Assholes, it's part of the goddamn show. So either they're doing some type of storyline where Dana Brooke is going to, she's going to contemplate herself, or they're actually burying her and she'll be fired and she'll be at your local VFW soon enough. So it's not rocket goddamn science. There's enough fucking things in the world to get upset about than worried about these goddamn wrestlers. There's a thing with the wrestling fans, AEW, WWE, all points in between. The wrestling fan expects the pro wrestling or sports entertainment or whatever the fuck. They expect these assholes to have this weird life where they're having sex with each other, they're cutting their foreheads open, they're doing all these goddamn things, yet you still expect them to live in the suburban standard ways that you and I live in. The normalcy that you and I live in, these wrestlers, it doesn't apply to them. So when you go on Twitter and you go on Facebook and you complain, oh, Ric Flair exposed himself with his helicopter dick, and Tommy Dreamer defended it, and Bully Ray and Mark Henry defended bullying. Idiots and assholes, they're in the pro wrestling industry. Maybe because you as fans haven't been in the dressing room, you haven't done my sit down with Man like I have, you haven't had a job interview for the WWE creative team like I have, so you don't know how these things operate, or you don't know the scum these people. Hey, I'll tell you a goddamn story. Everyone sings along with Paul Heyman. Oh, my client, Brock Lesnar, or my Samoan chief, Roman Reigns, everyone likes to sing along with Paul Heyman. Well, idiots and assholes, I was there when fucking Paul Heyman allowed a 16-year-old kid, Eric Koulos, to get his head sliced open by New Jack, and I was there interviewing Paul Heyman the night that it happened, and I can tell you that Paul Heyman's not a great fucking guy, okay? So for you idiots who go to these WWE shows and you sing along with Paul and you say, oh my God, Paul Heyman's so goddamn great. Well, assholes, where the fuck were you when he was advocating New Jack slicing open Eric Koulos' fucking forehead? And Koulos died 6 years later. If you knew what Paul Heyman was like in real life, you wouldn't really give a fuck about him. You wouldn't really like him. He wouldn't fit in with your goddamn hashtag values now, would he? Would he? Assholes. What else? Okay, so do we need all these goddamn titles in wrestling? AEW specifically, you have a goddamn women's title. It would make more sense to have a goddamn women's tag team title. If you had to have another fucking title, you put a fucking tag team women's title there. Do you need to have a TNT title and a world title? Probably not. But we've had some good TNT matches. The Brody Lee, the fucking dog collar match with Cody. The Darby Allin run was pretty good with the TNT title. Miro was good with the TNT title. We'll see what Sammy, can't pronounce his last name, Covera does. What else? Here's the thing. People have been upset. Are there enough people of color, African Americans, being represented in AEW? Oh, God, good question. Let's take it on. It's a tough topic. People have put me on the spot trying to figure me out. Look, folks, first of all, I guess we have to really break this down. Are we talking specifically about African Americans, or are we talking about non-white people? Okay? That's the first goddamn question. Is it POC, people of color? And my follow-up is, do you consider Japanese people to be people of color? Because if you do, you should be quite happy with the representation, at least on the women's side. Riho was the first women's champion, a Japanese lady. The third champion, Hikaru Sadada, whatever her name was, she was the third champion. She's Japanese. In between, you had a transgender person who I believe, I could be fucking wrong, is half African American and half Native American, the native beast, Nyla Rose. Not on that, you actually had what can I say where I won't get hashtagged, but you had a person who was born a man, had a transgender operation to become a woman as your women's champion. Well, that's pretty goddamn liberal now, isn't it? Isn't it? What else? Then you had Britt Baker, who is seemingly Caucasian, and she's also a dentist, so you have dentist representation, okay? Then you have over on the tag team side, well, Scorpio goddamn Sky. Scorpio Sky, one half of your first ever AEW fucking tag team. I almost pulled a goddamn Jim Ross. First ever AEW tag team champions. I believe it was Frankie Kazarian and Scorpion Sky. You have a nice African-American fellow and a nice Caucasian-American fellow together as friends, as champions. Then you had what? Heyman and fucking, you had a Canadian. That's some nice representation, and a Texan. Then they lost to FTR, a couple of normal white guys, so to speak. And then you had fucking the Bucks, who are Christians from California, hippie weirdo Christians. And then you had a couple of luchadors, Ray Phoenix and fucking Pentagon Jr., who are Luchorians. They are Mexicans, I believe. And then on the singles side, you had Jericho. You had fucking Jericho. You had Moxley. couple of Jericho's Canadian. Apparently he's half Italian all of a sudden. Moxley, who's white. Then you have the... Who was next? God. Who did Moxley... fucking Omega, Canadian. So if you're going to say, well, we have to do all the goddamn statistics... okay, you have half of Nyla Rose as an African-American and Scorpio Sky, right? Well, you might be saying, well, gee whiz, Mike, that's not a lot of representation. Okay, well, that's just the African-American community. If you want to put together the Japanese people, you know, and half of Nyla Rose is Native American, there's some more representation. If you want to, whatever the fuck, here's the thing. People don't want to hear this, and it's tempting for me not to even goddamn say it, but I will, because the fucking voices of I have to speak the truth because no one else will. But if you want to do the percentages, right, what's the population, what's the African-American percentage population in the United States, not in the world? In the United States, which AEW is a United States company, 13 to 15%. I've heard different statistics. I've heard 13%. I've heard 15%. But let's say 14% African-American population. So have 14, is the AEW roster 14% African-American? I don't know the answer. I don't have the stats. But if you look at Shaquille O'Neal came in, Tyson came in, Jade Cargill came in. She's still there. She wrestles all the time there. Scorpio Sky, like we've issued, Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't know the exact numbers, if it's 14% or not. I don't know, but it's something. Here's the other question, which many of you are going to fucking cry into the night with this one. NBA, National Basketball Association. I watch the NBA, and I don't get upset, and I don't cry if there's not, 86% Caucasian Americans on the basketball court at any given time. Usually it's 100, like if you're watching the championship, it's 100% African American guys. There's LeBron, there's Kyrie, there's whoever the fuck, and they're all African American guys, and I'm watching the goddamn game. I'm not fucking protesting or hashtagging or hire someone else. If these are the best guys, these are the best guys. I'm going to watch the NBA Finals. I've watched the NBA Finals pretty much every year since I was 13. Okay, every fucking game, or I taped the games that I missed, or I watched the highlights. But pretty much every fucking NBA Finals I've watched, and I don't think about who is on the field as far as their skin tone, their pigmentation. Okay, which is a very small percentage of someone's genetics or someone's genetic code, and it has nothing to do with their personality or their merit as a human being. But I don't get upset. Oh, I need to be represented. Where's the next Larry Bird? I don't think like that. I don't demand that. Okay, assholes? So I'm not saying, don't flip the switch on me. I'm not saying that, could there be more diversity for African Americans in AEW? Of course. But let's see what happens. The company is literally 2 years old. Let's see what happens with Powerhouse Hobbs. I'll be honest, I don't think Scorpio Sky is going to do much more than he's done. I think he's limited in his potential, but I think he's doing fine now with this tag team that he's in with Adam Page. But I think Powerhouse Hobbs is a guy to keep an eye on and so forth. And if AEW gets more guys in, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they'll get The Rock come in there to do a smackdown on somebody's ass. It's possible. What's going on? Why are these people talking around me? Weirdos. So anyway, folks, I don't know what to tell you. Have I solved all your goddamn problems for your weekend? Have I made things make sense? I mean, NFL football, I watch mostly African Americans, a good percentage, 70%, 65, 70. The exception is hockey. And you say, well, where are all the great Grant Fuhrers of modern day hockey? Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's reasons for this. Don't kill the goddamn messenger. But the reason why hockey, culturally, it's not been widely accepted or populated in the African-American communities. Maybe if you had another Serena and Venus father who wanted to make his son a great African-American hockey player so they could make a movie about him 30 years later, maybe you could have that. But the reason why hockey traditionally is Caucasian-dominated, it's because it's an expensive sport to play. And most of the Caucasian kids playing hockey are from working class families who put all their money into these hockey pads in Canada, or they're from suburban families who do the same thing. They send their fucking sons to hockey camps. They sponsor him in fucking hockey camps and schools and lessons and all that horse shit. And the African American community, mostly they're not a lot in Canada from what I understand, and they don't give a fuck about hockey. So that's just a cultural thing. Baseball, a lot of the best baseball players now are from Japan or from, other countries. You know what I mean? So there is diversity throughout all of sports. Now I'm putting pro wrestling into the sports mix for this conversation. But if you want to go through and pick and point, then you would have to say, okay, 86% of the NBA has to be Caucasian American because statistically, percentage-wise, I'm sorry, if 14% is African American, then you have to think of the other ethnic groups. And I hate saying minorities, it sounds so demeaning, but other ethnic groups, you'd have to say, okay, how many Asian people are in this country? Well, 7%, let's just say 7, it's probably more than that. 7% of this country is Asian. They need to be represented in every sports league. The NBA needs to be 7% Asian. The NFL needs to be 7% Asian. Whoa, wait a minute. Is it Korean or is it Japanese or is it Thai? Because we have to make sure those percentages are accurate. See, it's a goddamn downward spiral you go down, you fucks. So when you try to figure all this shit out and you try to make everything happy, perfect, it doesn't fucking win. And you just clog yourself into a residue of bullshit. There should definitely be equal opportunity for everyone. And maybe even in some cases, you have things like affirmative action in education and so forth to make up for some of these discrepancies when you talk about slavery and racism and all that horse shit, Jim Crow. But when you're talking about watching something like AEW and trying to vilify them because there's not enough African American champions, and you say, well, what do you want? Do you want 50%? I mean, you tell fucking me. You tell fucking me. Because I don't have all the goddamn answers. I just see the points and other people's bitching and fucking complaining. Okay? All right. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Thanks to Monty and the Pharaoh, the AEW Apologist. We took on all these wonderful topics. I'll be watching an African-American fighter fight a white fat guy tonight. Deontay Wilder and fucking Tyson Fury. To be honest with you, I think these guys suck. I was a script consultant on a Lennox Lewis documentary, which you can find on fucking line or watch it. Of course, I wrote a lot for that goddamn thing. Dr. Dre does read some of my words. And you can hear my intelligence when it comes to 90s boxing, when men were fucking men. Now, did you see me fucking complain? Oh my God, it's Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. Wah, wah, wah. Where's Tommy Morrison? No, fuck Tommy Morrison. He wasn't as good as those guys. So when Lennox Lewis is fighting Evander Holyfield for 24 rounds in 1999, you don't see me fucking complaining, wanting Larry Bird in the goddamn fight. I'm just happy to see a good goddamn fight. Because that's the way that I think. That's the way I see the goddamn world, assholes. So tonight, it's a big heavyweight fucking fight fest. It's all the matches on the main card are heavyweights. Apparently there's a battle of 2 undefeated guys. I'm going to be watching all these goddamn fights on the big screen. I'm going to be enjoying it. Hopefully the main event doesn't suck. If it's not a 12-round bore fest, I'd rather just someone get their ass knocked out. I'm going to predict, and I'm going with Skip Bayless on this from Undisputed. I'm predicting Deontay Wilder with a KO victory in the 7th. Why the fuck not? I'm not a fan of either one of these guys. In his prime, Lennox Lewis would have wiped his ass with either one of them. But we're going to see what the fuck happens. I'm predicting Deontay by KO in 7. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But I bought a goddamn ticket to see it on the big screen. I want to give boxing another chance because that's the type of nice guy that I am. All right, subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Thanks to Monty and the Pharaoh for allowing me this goddamn platform. For all the wonderful people that have been watching, you're encouraged to share this goddamn video. I hope I've answered you all the wonderful questions that you had about ethnic equality in AEW, about is there too many title belts? Oh God, I forgot. Mid-Atlantic fucking wrestling, national title, TV title, U.S. title, world title, U.S. tag team title. I mean, that was my favorite promotion. Okay, Crockett, 85 to 88, 89. They had too many goddamn belts. So what can you say? Nothing's ever perfect. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. There's never been an Intercontinental WWF tag team title. Why the fuck not? Okay, bye.